Welcome to Mike on the mic. I have a guest on the line, and I don't want to keep her too long. She's very busy too as well. But it's been a long while since I've been live. Those of you who viewing into here on Mike on the mic, if you're seeing the live, reshare, engage with us. You could comment. I could pull up your comments on the screen too as well. But up next, I have Mariah. She's waiting. She's the present host at SportsMax. She presents news and she does a lot of different stories, different ideas. She brings sports in a different direction too as well. But I don't have to keep her on in the background too long. But before we go to that, as I said before, if you're joining here on Mike on the mic, please comment. Commenting to me is very important. That shows the engagement. That shows that we have a community here. I'm going to the billboard. Let's go, and I'm going to bring up my Mariah just next. Good night, Mariah. Welcome to Mike on the mic.
I like that intro. That's fancy.
I try nothing. I like
it.
SportsMax level. Hopefully, I can get there somewhere.
You will. I'm sure you can. And thanks for having me. And I just want to say hi to all your viewers.
It's been a long while since I've done an actual live. I was very nervous, I'm going to be honest. So I'm going to tap into your presenter. How do you go live? How do you prepare yourself mentally? I'm trying to get some on-the-job training here and tips.
Listen, let me tell you something. If I have to charge you for training, it's going to be very expensive.
Oh, now all the portfolio get bigger now, so I don't get any training money. I get the EC dollars.
Us dollars. Just joking.
Us dollars.
I'm just joking. I'm just trying to, start on a light note. I'm so exhausted. But you were asking me, how do I get prepared for a show? So preparation starts at 6 a.m. every morning. The show goes live at 4:30 p.m. in Jamaica, 5:30. But I mean, with anything that you do, I will go to bed tonight and I will be reading up before I fall asleep things that I know we're going to talk about tomorrow. Preparation starts from the night before. From the time I wake up, the first thing I do is I turn my kettle on and turn my laptop on. It's so weird because I am already tuned in and I know I have so many different things to do. So I just start because at the end of the day, I've said before, one, I'm young in the business, and two, I'm a female, so I always have to work extra hard,
Yeah, and it sounds like you're following Grant Cadone's special where he say, you work 10 times harder to get to your goals. So it sounds like you've been following that. Let me ask a question, right? A macro kind of question. When you was in Trinidad, you used to work that hard?
Yes. How did you think I get the opportunity? You have to put in the work. If I wasn't working hard, SportsMax would not have seen what I do and just take this lazy random person. So yes, actually back home it was more difficult because I worked for a smaller station, radio and TV charity. So you had to really be dynamic. You had to know how to do everything in order to, make it through.
And just for the viewing audience out there, continue to like Mike on the mic. Comment. I mean, we could bring up your comments here on screen. If you have any questions for Mariah, we could try to see if we can address them too as well. But yeah, I mean, it's good to hear that you have the same kind of work ethic. I've been told by my family sometimes I don't know when to switch off. But
I never switch off.
How do you manage your projects?
What is switching off?
How do you manage your projects?
Well, projects as in work projects, so personal projects. Okay,
all of the above, because we all had to manage time. This is the COVID-19 pandemic we're under. We're trapped at home. Well, at least here in Trinidad. How do you manage? So maybe, as I say, I try to pick on your brain. This is the on-the-job interview, trying to pick your brain a little bit. How do you manage?
Well, to be honest, I'm a very organized person. I've always been. I like to do a lot of to-do lists. I'm always writing things down so that I don't forget. So, that helps me a lot, putting things into perspective, having deadlines. I have short-term deadlines, long-term deadlines, and I'm always trying to keep it. I try not to throw myself off. And if I tend to, I still fall back in line. So that helps. I have daily deadlines because the show is every day at 4:30, 5:30 if you're outside of Jamaica. So, I have this set routine where by 12 o'clock, the zone updates must go out. If that doesn't happen, I start to get panicky. I avoid those things from happening because, I don't want to miss deadlines, because when 4:30 comes, nobody cares if I'm ready or not. The cameras start rolling. So, I have to have these personal checks for myself to ensure that, I do what I have to do at the right time.
And I want to say good night to Travis Ram, who's been messaging me here on the live. Thank you for tuning in here to Mike on the Mic. If you have any questions for Mariah, hit me up, the Nick, and we could ask the questions. Mariah, I've been introduced. You know me in the industry locally. I've been a cameraman for many years, and because of the pandemic, more now, and the fact that I have to be at home because I'm in the high risk, I started writing and I started reporting too as well, and that's a whole different journey. A whole different mindset. What has it been like, your journey from being a journalist in Trinidad and now actually presenting in the Caribbean and global stage? What has that journey been like for you?
For me, it has been very rewarding. And I'll start by saying, when I actually started with an internship at TV6, right
Yeah.
out of university. I had randomly applied, I was just applying, just like any young person would do, just applying to different places. And TV6 had called me. When I got there, I did a couple of articles for Express, but I knew that that's not what I wanted. I wanted to run, and I didn't, at that point, I didn't even think about being on screen. For me, it was more about, getting the stories and, reporting, finding out information. It was so cool that one day I was actually on lunch and somebody, I think a prisoner or somebody that would have escaped from jail or whatever, saw me with the CCN TV6 badge, because we would have to wear those things, to enter the building. And he stopped me and he said, you work at Express? So I said, yes. He said he has a top story to give to me. He gave me his number and he said I should call him. So this is me like at 18 or 19, I was like, wow. So I went back to Umati Lider. She was in charge of me at Express. And I said, this man just stopped me and I don't know what to do. And she was like, you should call him, because that's how you become a good journalist. You have these contacts and, it helps you moving forward, because, once you become a really good journalist, people trust you and they would rather give you their information. And, you build those sort of contacts and whatnot. And, I just feel like after that internship ended, my career has been so rewarding, because Jagrity ended up calling me after. So I really wasn't without a job, thankfully. And when I went into Jagrity, they were very, I have to say, Satmaraj, may his soul rest in peace, was very accommodating for me, because once I had ideas, because remember, I started doing news. I wanted to do sports. They gave me a platform to do my sports show. And I mean, that sports show is what has landed me this job in SportsMax. So, everything just fell in place. I know everybody's journey is not the same and it doesn't follow similar paths, but I have to say I had a lot of stumbling blocks too. I applied to plenty of our local media stations back home, CNC3, TV6, I applied to TTT, and nobody gave me the opportunity. So I have to say I'm thankful for SportsMax for seeing what my potential and helping me to grow.
And with that, I want to say, I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I've worked everywhere: TV6, Gael, CNC3, CNMG, back at CNC3. And the local media dynamic has changed a lot, I must say. Embracing digital technology has been a challenge too as well, especially now during the pandemic. How have you been embracing the changes that's happening in the industry during this particular pandemic? Good night, Mr. Maraj.
Yes, so for me, it has allowed me, a lot of time to think, because out of this pandemic was born my new show, which is called In Case You Missed It. So, I actually started by writing articles for
That's a
Sports
good
Magazine.
that's a good name, because I think I missed it.
Well, that's not good, because you've been definitely missing out. So
Uh,
I've been writing for the website. Are you into sports, by the way? Just a quick question.
Let me be honest, right? So
Because I will quiz you and I will know if you're telling the truth.
I was actually a sports reporter at Gael. That was my first reported stint with Suniti Maraj. But I'm not a big sports fan. I don't know if anybody out there could tell us who they're watching on Netflix. All of a sudden, I'll start watching Formula One racing. So I don't know if I'm leveraging the fact that I have a passion for cars into Formula One, but That's what I've been watching. I'm amazed at the journey with Lewis Hamilton and the fact that he had COVID-19 in 2020 and he was still able to become the champion and break records for Michael Schumacher. So it's very, very interesting. I mean, I'm not into the sport. I had an interview, I will be honest with you, right? So a particular company in Trinidad interviewed me to be working as a sports editor. So when I went in, it's like, okay, cool, no problem. I could do that. I'm an editor. To start asking particular questions. And just like yourself, I didn't have the information. So I said, this might be the best fit for me. So no, I'm not a big sports fan, but I do have interest in sports.
Okay, right. So I was just gonna say, out of the pandemic, because you had asked me before, how I've been dealing with it and whatnot. So for me, I like to use my time. I don't like to waste time. I feel like time is so important. So if I give you my time, that's a lot. So I use the time to write for the website, or SportsMax.tv website. And out of writing those articles, somebody said to me, Mariah, but you're a presenter, people have short attention spans, and not every day they would probably sit down and read the articles. But if you were to come on, you have a presence, and you just talk about how you feel, you give it your spin, Mariah's take on what took place in the week, you would get a lot of views. And honestly, the first episode was aired not this Sunday, the Sunday before, and I actually got like 3,000 views.
Wow.
The comments was one, and this is the first episode.
Mhm.
101 comments that I was able to see. I'm sure there were others, because once you keep sharing, you have comments on different links and whatnot.
Mhm.
But I was able to see 101 comments. The clicks, the likes, the shares, and it sort of like motivated me. So last week was the second episode, and I'm going to keep pushing, because in case you missed it, I feel like I'm onto something with that. It's just my take. It's away from the show that I do, because the show that I do, I sit with Lance and George, and it's a panel discussion. But this, in case you missed it, is just my take.
And it allows you the opportunity to express yourself in this
Yeah.
particular forum. So it's your ideas, your show. How does it feel knowing that you have to produce, host, present your own particular show? But before we move forward, I seen Jesse Ramdale from CNC3. Good night, Jesse. Good night to all my CNC3 people out there. I hope you guys are staying safe. I saw Ivan had a brilliant story today. To show how he was using his health and safety gear, how he was using him as being out on assignment. I miss being out on assignment, guys. I miss being actually in work, but I'm also taking this pandemic very seriously here in Trinidad and Tobago. We have the amount of deaths rising gradually and gradually. I think Jesse's been asking, what's your biggest hurdle professionally so far, and how have you been able to overcome it?
No, he said how in the pandemic, the biggest hurdle to overcome during the pandemic.
Yeah.
For me, it's being locked out of my country, being locked out of Trinidad and Tobago, because I will be very honest, when I signed with SportsMax, and I've said this yesterday in my speech to the UTech students, when I made that decision, it was knowing that I can come home when I want to come home. So when things got hard, I could book a ticket and I could come home and, have that comfort of my family, and then, just rejuvenate and come back to Jamaica and work when it's time to work. But the pandemic has put me in a position where I don't have that choice. I don't have the opportunity to spend time with my family. I'm literally trapped outside, and it takes a lot of time to get an exemption. I was lucky to get one last year. I came home and whatnot, but still, just the comfort of knowing that I can jump on a plane and come home when I want to. I don't know when next I'll see my family. That has been my biggest hurdle, because I'm very close to them.
Wow. And I mean, I wanted that later on in the interview, but since we're already here, so you having any roti or double stabanka?
Well, I get that here, Let me be honest.
Okay.
There's
You
a
get
place.
Jamaican doubles. Okay.
It is somebody, I think they're half Trini, half Jamaican. They make it and they sell, and they actually call it spicy doubles. So they're kind of like getting a plug without even knowing. But I buy from them the doubles. And in the grocery, there's like dalpuri, which is the only roti I'm interested in. So I would buy that and put it in the fridge. Mind you, back home I would never eat fridge food. Now your girl is, that fridge is gold.
I guess it's because of the hours that you're working and you don't have the safety net of your family.
And I don't have my mother who would cook for me 3 times a day and hot food.
You see, when children getting big, you understand what your parents be talking to you about, right? I know, and thank you guys for commenting. A lot of people started to comment now. Jesse Ram, they have a next question here. Who you think will win for the Champions League?
Manchester City in a heartbeat.
Okay. Well, that's the football fans thing.
Manchester City. I don't really care what Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel think they're doing. Manchester City is winning this.
And let me as we stick to the talking about the family, right? I know you have a big cricketing family, and now with the pandemic, I know they had a T20. I think it was early on in the year. What has it been like, and how has it been like covering cricket during a pandemic?
Oh, well, I don't get to go to the games. Let me start by saying
I know,
that.
but you're doing coverage on air and not having the fans and not having that environment. What has that been like?
It's been strange. And honestly, if you genuinely love sports and you know what it is to be in that excitement, it's heartbreaking. I feel like, okay, it's like I don't know what is a good comparison, but you think about CPL, you know how exciting CPL is in Trinidad. We look forward to that. Imagine me having to host that with a virtual party, right? So I am just dancing and trying to hype up these people virtually when, and it's difficult. It's difficult, especially if you're not a very hyper person.
Yeah.
Because for me, I feed off energy of people, and a lot of people do that. We depend on each other for energy. So to do that, like it comes as if I'm here hosting the CPL and I am trying to get everybody to feel just as excited as I am, but I'm not because I'm not there. I'm not seeing the ball bowl. I'm not hearing the fans scream. It has been difficult, but I also know that we have to navigate these strange times.
You're very popular, Mariah. We're having more and more questions coming in here. What is it? Well, I just doing a big quick synopsis, right? Just to try and get through the interview more. What is it like working in a male-dominant industry as a woman? And do you face any forms of discrimination while actually doing a particular job?
It is difficult, and not because of the people that I work with, but because of my viewers. And because of just people on the whole. Because it's so funny that I would probably say the same thing that a man would say. And most times people wouldn't hear what I say. They won't listen to what I say because in their mind, I'm just a face. And most times, it's so funny because, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't get the job because of how I look. But I just feel like people, they bypass certain things, and it's all because, we tend to believe sports is a man's world and, what do you know about what you're talking? But for me, I wouldn't say working in SportsMax has been amazing. I have a lot of support just like back home. Sometimes I say, I've been treated even better than, the way I was received back in Trinidad and Tobago. So, I obviously love my country, but working here hasn't been so difficult. It has been a good experience, and I just hope that bigger, better things can come soon.
And with that question that popped in my mind, obviously you've taken the vaccine because you're working outside of Trinidad and you're back home. You say you were recently back home. Have you had any effects? I mean, a lot of people have a lot of fear about the vaccine. You seem fine. You seem healthy. What are your words of advice to people out there who may be hesitant about taking the vaccine now?
Well, I have been encouraging people who feel like they want to take it because I'm not going to force anybody to take it. I mean, people will know their health conditions, they'll know their body conditions, they'll know what they can and they can't take. I took the vaccine, and the first day I took it, I was fine. The second day I got fever, honestly. Like I felt like I had an inner fever, I was feeling cold, then I was feeling warm. I was like, what is really going on with me? So the second day I skipped work. The first day I actually went to work and nothing was wrong. I was live, you wouldn't even know. The second day I felt sick, and then by the third day, Michael, I was fine, I haven't felt differently. If it's anything, I didn't even get a cough or a cold since I took the vaccine.
So you're encouraging others to do it.
I would say once you feel, I'm not forcing anybody. This is not me saying, hi, I'm Mariah Ramharack and I'm telling you to take the vaccine. This is not that. This is just me saying my experience hasn't been bad. I don't know your health condition, but if you feel as if you're healthy enough and you want to, because it's just a step to getting back to some sort of normalcy, whatever that may be, we just have to do our part, and especially the younger citizens.
You say that, and my heart flutter a little bit because I have a blood clotting condition, and the news that you get from the vaccine too as well, especially for people who have particular conditions, I'm very fearful. That's why I work from home, and that's why I've I've been trying to continue working from home. That's why I pushed myself to develop this podcast, push myself to be able to start writing stories too as well, and to build the community too as well. Because I know there are a lot of people like minds who like myself. I'm not anti-vaccine, but I'm not too sure, just like you're just saying, if it's the right fit for me right now at this moment, because there isn't enough research. And God forbid something happen, and the research say 1 in a million with AstraZeneca so far is a result of the vaccine. I don't want to be that 1 in a million. I cherish life. But also too, as you rightly say, in this time, there's a lot of different things that's happening. And in order for us to get back to normal, we need to start taking it too as well. So those who can, I mean, I guess do your part. If it is that you feel you're in a position to do it, I say go ahead. If I was in that position, I definitely would do it. I'm waiting for a little more research, but I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm glad that you raised the point from your personal experience too as well. I appreciate it.
And you say that, and me taking the vaccine is to protect people like you. Let's just say that you really couldn't withstand the vaccine. My grandfather, he's 75. My mom, she's diabetic. So when I took the vaccine, I genuinely didn't take it for myself because I just said, maybe if I got COVID, I would recover and whatnot. I did it because I was thinking about the people that I genuinely care about, who I don't know if their body could take the vaccine. And maybe if I take it, I could protect them, So that was the first thing. When I went to that vaccination center, that's what I was thinking about, the people that can't take it.
And to you those out there, this might be a different kind of topic. Continue to share Mike on Mike, continue to interact with us, continue to comment. I see Devanan was thankful for the response too as well, that you addressed the question of being a woman in this male-dominated sport industry. But also too, just to give a little backstory, you come from a cricketing family, as I said in the past.
Well, my sister.
How has that been like, and how do you think that has influenced your impact at SportsMax?
Maybe it helped, I would say, but coming from a cricketing family doesn't get you into a company. Because me saying that, oh yeah, my sister plays for West Indies. Okay, Mariah, so what do you know about cricket? Because your name might be Ramharack, but do you know anything about cricket? So it has helped me in my career moving forward, because now I have I have access to the players because of Karishma, and that has been the truth. I have easier access because, I know the girls, they are willing to open up to me about stories, they're like my sisters as well. So maybe if they wouldn't feel comfortable doing an interview with you, they would say, Mariah, let me tell you. Yeah. So I have had that experience. But, to say Karishma had a part to play in me getting the job, maybe not. I mean, sometimes people don't even know that we're sisters until I say it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to pry, but I've always been big on inspiring others out there. I have a campaign that we work on with CNC3 called Inspire TT, and it's really about trying to inspire others out there and seeing people like yourself, seeing you on TV, and actually putting a personality behind a story behind the story and humanizing you. I think we could have the ability to be able to inspire other young women out there to represent Trinidad and Tobago at this highest level, and to be able to hone in on your own. One of the major points that I think that you said, and I don't know if you want to reiterate that point, it has been a lot of hard work. You wake up at what time again?
I wake up at 5:30, but I start to work at 6, and I go to, when I'm done with you, because I literally just came from the office, I had to open the newscast. I usually do that every day. So I don't just do the show, I do news as well. So, when I'm in bed, other women might be looking up things like makeup or, dresses, or they might just be sleeping. But before I go to bed, I tend to read a lot. So I do a lot of research, because that kind of minimizes the amount of work that I have to do tomorrow. So if I listen to a couple of podcasts based on what happened today, let's just say I listen to one tonight, that's one thing less that I have to do tomorrow,
So it goes back to what you were talking about, time management and managing your time, basically.
And hard work. I'm telling you, if it's one thing you can't do in this life, is pretend, because it shows. And when you're in front of the camera, it's not forgiving. It's very unforgiving. So you mess up, you do 10 things right, and you mess up once, and that's all they're going to remember. The one time you mess up.
Tell me about it. As I have been having my journey as a reporter too as well. Visually, my stories might be very interesting. I know I have to work on the voice. I know I have to work on the presentation. But as you rightly say, you could do 99% perfect, 1%, and that's what
That's
people
it.
would remember.
And it's
Um,
been like that for me. Sometimes I read some of these comments from YouTube. I mean,
mhm,
our shows on YouTube, and I'll do everything right in a segment, and maybe my jacket, this thing was high and low. I don't know because I'm focused. And these people will comment and say, Mariah, somebody could have told you to fix your jacket. Who's gonna tell me to fix my jacket when I'm alive? I'm so concerned about doing what I have to do, you know? So it's just these
yeah.
little things, you know. It's not as if you're not even messing up badly. And
Mhm. All right, and going back to my initial first question, I'll be quite honest. It's been a long time since I did Mike on the Mic live, and I
why?
was nervous. Financially, managing time, other different commitments at work too as well. So, but as you rightly say, sometimes the hard work pays off. Mike on the Mic has allowed me to be able to expand, be able to think like a presenter, to be able to present too as well. And I really appreciate this new way of thinking. I've been editing for a long time. I've been shooting for a long time, but presenting and actually writing is a whole new different field. It's very different. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going back to my initial question because I say we're doing some OJT training here today, right?
Yeah, that Mike can't pay for. Let's go.
We can't pay for us, so we to exploit the live. I'm going to do live videos. From your experience, how do you prepare yourself mentally? What are the steps that I could take, or even others out there who want to be able to shoot and do live video? What are your advice for them?
Okay, so I'm gonna just tell you what I do when I have a guest, right? Because it's no secret that I don't know all my guests. I never know some of my guests, right? So what I tend to do is, as I said, my work actually starts so from 6 o'clock. So if I know I'm interviewing you, Michael Ramsing, I would go and search you up for sure. I want to see all the latest things that you've been doing. I need to know everything about you before I come into that interview. You're not going to surprise me. I will find out. And if I don't know, I'm going to call people that you work with. I'm going to get everything. So that when I sit in that interview, because of so for me as a host, I have to know all the sides, right? It's not about you coming on my show and pretending. That's
Mm-hmm.
how we sort of do that on the zone. You know, we do a lot of research so that when we go into the interview, we're already equipped. So there's nothing that you can tell me that you can fool me. Because, you know, let's just say I'm interviewing you about crime and you say you've never committed a crime. Bet it I would have called and already checked those records to know. You know, just that's just an example, obviously, on whatever topic that we're talking about. So my advice would be research, research, research. Go into an interview being over prepared. There's nothing like being over prepared. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's better to know more. Sometimes I go into interviews with like 15 questions that I want to ask, and then the interview goes a whole different way. But because of the amount of research that I would have put in to get those 15 questions, I still get the best out of it without even asking those 15 questions. You know, it's always good to know. You could never know too much.
That's
So
Well, I started to do some homework then before I voted in my
yeah,
life. Yeah, so
yeah,
I did.
do.
I to be quite honest, I did do a LinkedIn research on you, and you kind of answer the questions with your internship at TV6 and the experience at Jagrity and learning at Jagrity too as well, and producing the actual program that helped you get the SportsMax um, opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I also too wanted to, as I said before, humanize Mariah and paint you in a new and different light to the Trinidad and Tobago audience who may not necessarily know you, but they see you on SportsMax and say, "Hey, that's a Trini. How she get there? What she doing there?" You know what I mean? You know how Trinidad could be. So, and I'm grateful. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that you're still getting your roti in Jamaica. You're still you're still missing mommy food here in Trinidad. Um,
Always.
when you're in Trinidad, where do you normally stay? You say you stay with mom and dad, but what area that is? You don't need to give the specific lamppost number and thing,
El
but what area?
Dorado. El
Okay,
Dorado.
so you're in the east.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Um, going back to what I was saying before in Jamaica, what is it new that you've tried in the culture or in the food that was different and was something that you say, you know what, if I come to Trinidad, I will miss about Jamaica.
There's something called escovy fish. The
Mm-hmm.
way they do this at the beach. So like you have to eat it. For me, you have to eat it at the beach. It's the way they prepare it, and there's this sort of sauce. I don't even know how to explain it, with like onions. It's similar to like mother-in-law back in Trinidad, but it's not mother-in-law. That's the thing. It tastes something like that because it has like lime and onions, and we're talking about this now, and I just came from work and I'm so hungry. But yeah, but they serve it on the side, and then there's like the fish. And Michael, it's amazing. That is something, if I were to move back home, I would try to make it. Like I would try, but I know I wouldn't be able to. It's something that they probably have a secret ingredient.
Do you have any kind of work-life balance, or is it all this all work for you?
No, 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 no. And then I would be crazy. No. Um, on my weekends, I do a lot of things, and despite the pandemic, um, I take time away. I step away. Our beaches are not as it's not locked down. They are private places that I can go. I have access to certain things that I would do. Um, on the weekends, I use a lot of my time to actually step away. I love to go to the spa. Just do at least one or two things. I believe in self-care. I read a lot, and it's not even work related. Sometimes it's just like novels that I would be reading. I watch movies. So no, don't let don't be fooled. I take a lot of time for myself as well.
And I'm glad that you said that. Operating at this particular level, right? How important is the self-care to be able to de-stress and to be able to get rid of that, how you say, daily grind and tension? Because there are a lot of people who right now in the pandemic, like myself, um, working from home has been a challenge. Sometimes, like I say, you get up in the morning at 7, you have a meeting at 9, you have 2 recordings, then you realize, wait, now, because before we went live, I was writing a script for television, and I was like, wow, the day was just so packed. And this is like has become the regular no overtime. How important is self-care?
Self-care is something that I preach. I genuinely preach that, mental, just taking some time for you mentally. I mean, I've started meditating. I do that a lot, as much as I can. That helps. I created a corner in my house, which I will not show you, but it's actually this really cozy area where I can just sit by myself and, relax, probably listen to some music. It's just that safe space where I would probably, like, let's just say, light an incense. I have a diffuser, just the scent of like lavender. It's just that area where I sit with myself and I say, okay, Mariah, so maybe today was hard or today was really successful or whatever, but let's just relax now and, be thankful. I'm a person that believes in being thankful. So I would just be thankful for, all the opportunities, thankful that the people that I care about, they're safe. And I make that a practice, Michael, to constantly say, okay, thank you, God. It could have been worse. Or, and I believe in those things. Like, when you're grateful, like good things happen to you. The more you say thanks, the more you realize that things just continue to multiply. And I believe in that thing of the universe rewarding you for what you give out.
And winding down the interview segment now, what has it been like the pandemic in Jamaica, and how do you feel of what is happening right now in Trinidad?
So at first I was worried about Jamaica, but to be honest, the past month, what has been happening in Trinidad, it's so funny because earlier today we had Fazir Mohammed from Trinidad on the SportsMax zone. And Faz on the show said there were 23 deaths today back home, 601 new cases. And I felt as if for the entire show, I couldn't function. And it wasn't because of anything to do with me not being prepared. I was just really, really concerned as to what the hell was going on back home. Our borders have been locked for going into 2 years now. Our citizens are still naive that there is even a pandemic, and it worries me because the hospital beds, I just can't even put into my mind if something were to happen to my family and they were to go to the hospital and I know that
Thank
they
you.
couldn't get care, right? Like I said at the top of the interview, I'm very close to my family, I'm very close to my friends, and I just don't even want to have that thought in my mind. And then I can't come home because I'm locked out.
Wow. Wow. And reality is setting in. Um, you say that and words could jump straight out of my mouth because it's real. It's real here in Trinidad. If you was a media representative or media personality in Trinidad, a reporter on the field, what do you think? What do you think that would have been like for you during operating the pandemic? I know there's a lot of fear out there.
I don't know. I can't, I can't imagine what they would be going through because, I always say, and I like to say this a lot, that journalists and reporters are heroes. Whether the citizens or, our viewers believe it or not, every day that any one of our reporters, get out of their bed, put on their mask and go to get a story, it's really for the benefit of our citizens to ensure that, they know what is happening. We don't do these things for ourselves, because to
Mhm.
be honest, journalism is not like the top paying job. If you wanted to be rich, you would open a business or something. The reason a lot of us do it is because we genuinely want to help. At least when I got into it, I'll be honest. I
I
just want to
continue to be that way too as well. I mean, and I'm right. Is almost if I was in a different industry, I'm sure I would have been a manager. I'm sure I would have been have some form of upward mobility, even though I've harnessed and grew my talents. But yeah, media in general, especially in Trinidad, is very frustrating. I spent over 23 years, I think, in media in
Mhm.
Trinidad, and
Ooh,
it's been very difficult. I've faced a lot of challenges, but COVID-19 seems to be one of the biggest challenges for me. I've been in Hurricane Ivan when it hit in Grenada. I was actually on the ground.
ooh, that's
I've had that experience. I've had the experience of having Mandela when he came into Trinidad to be on the airport on the tarmac with Charlie Ramdani at the time. I've
that's really
had a lot of different experiences, but this particular experience with COVID-19, I tell you, if I was out in the field, I was out actually, not for a long time. I went out to work for one day and it was very fearful. I was very paranoid. I felt like one of the health workers. I was afraid to use the bathroom, even though you're in a safe zone. And to be quite honest, the fact that you're home and you need to be able to get food, you need to be able to go to the groceries. You're still not 100% safe. Um, the Imam, I did an interview with the Imam Hatif Soleimani from the San Fernando Masjid earlier this week, and he was saying the pandemic, he had an analogy, and now he didn't want to say it as negative because COVID-19 is taking lives. But the analogy that I thought was very interesting and very useful, he said, it's something that you cannot see. So you have to use the faith and your actions and your behavior is what could save you. And it was something that he was thinking of during the whole course of Ramadan that, individual human behavior could save yourself, could save your family, and could save your community and society. And that's the main message that he wanted to get out there too as well. What are your thoughts on something like that?
no, for sure. That's why I said, when you asked me about the vaccine, just that individual choice of me taking it and, knowing that what I do could affect the behaviors of others. And he was right. He was genuinely right because I mean, Michael, if you choose to stay home and not go see your grandparents and whatnot, right? That's our individual action which will benefit them in the future. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why people have this culture right now. Why can't we just calm down for a little bit to ensure that, we can have these times again? We're going to gather again. But as it stands right now, our individual actions will affect, the collective around us. Look at how people are dropping like flies. Can you imagine 23 people died in one day?
Wow. Wow.
That's like
Yeah.
flies. That's
When
people dropping.
I'll be honest with you. When I heard that today, I was shocked. I was like, when I first saw it, so I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna give you my reaction. And Trinidad and Tobago, please, I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. When I heard it, I thought it was false news. I said, nah, 23, nah, that could never be.
Yeah.
And then I seen 600 new cases. I was like, nah, that's a false post. That can't be real. And when the
No,
reality hit that it was, I was lost for words. You know, what will you tell the next generation, the kids coming up? What will you tell them in order for them to continue to be safe, but to look forward to the future?
I would tell them because I have a younger brother. He turns to me for advice all the time. It's been very difficult for him because, he wants to go to school. He knows what it is to be with his friends in school. he wants to see them again and all these different things. And I keep telling him, I'm saying, listen, let's just be responsible right now. And I mean, he may not understand what it means to be responsible, because all he knows is that he just wants to see his friends and he wants to go back to normal. But, you just have to sit them down and explain to them that, what we are doing right now by staying in is for the good of, what is to come. So I would tell them, don't lose hope. Let's just use this time to do little things that you probably wouldn't have done if you were with your friends or you were in school. So let's just pass the time, pray a lot, because that's something I believe in. Let's just pray a lot and, hope that with time and, with people taking the vaccine and doing the right things, that, we can come out. I would tell him, listen, if we come out of this, we're superheroes.
Wow. Interesting. I want to say, Mariah, thank you for coming here on my Connie Mike. But before we transition, I want to bring in my guest. My big brother wanted to come in and give the St. Kitts perspective. Maybe you all could give a quick wrap of the Jamaica and St. Kitts perspective, so Trinidadians can understand how important it is to take the vaccine, how important it is for us to be able to come together as a community here in Trinidad and Tobago, how serious it is, and how it is that our personal and individual actions can help save lives. Hi, good night, Rob. Are you hearing us?
Yes, Michael, how are you doing? Mariah, how nice to see you again.
Michael was telling me you were his brother. I didn't even know that.
Yes, I'm his bigger brother.
And you didn't shave
I
the
just
head.
found out that right before the live.
Yes, how things in Jamaica? I only came on a little while ago, and I'm here in St. Kitts. They call me Mr. Quarantine. This is my 5th quarantine that I've been in. I'm quarantined in all the islands so far, so it's been an experience.
Yeah, things are not so bad in Jamaica. I have to say, when I compare it to what's taking place back home in Trinidad, I think that we're actually better off because, we have curfew, which has been on for a long time. People
Right.
are following the police. They're not making joke when it comes to breaking curfew rules and all that. So
Right.
I have to say, I feel we're in a better position than back home.
Yeah, well, here in St. Kitts, there is a curfew from 2 in the morning to 5 in well, 2 in the morning till 5. So it's
Okay.
literally not a curfew. There's a mask order, but as you can see, most people here, I guess in the background of me, don't wear masks. It's very, there's no cases of COVID-19 here on this island.
Oh yeah.
I was vaccinated yesterday. My second shot was yesterday. So it's a lot different from Trinidad. And I can tell you, a lot of the Trinidadians on the island here panicking for their friends and family back home. It's been a difficult journey. I mean, in the next 3 weeks, when I get my paperwork sorted out from the health ministry here, I'm heading back to Barbados. And I think you were there with me when Barbados had their second outbreak. So I'm heading back down there for another quarantine again, and then probably back to Trinidad or Grenada, depending on what's going on. Because for a lot of the people here, they don't know what's happening with the exemption process anymore, because it looks like the healthcare system in Trinidad can't take anyone else there. And one of the things the health minister was saying is that for the exemption process to work effectively, they need to have the room to, if anyone comes in with COVID-19, to put them. And so far, it doesn't look like it's going to be a possibility for the next 2 months.
No, which is so worrying. I just wish people could just stay calm, stay put and just do what we have to do. Let's just think about it. If we just stay in our houses for 14 days, maybe something could happen. Things could calm down a bit. I don't know why people see the need to just be moving about and doing, today they were making fun of me in Jamaica. Well, when I say fun, I mean just joking around and
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah, yeah.
we're fetting, we want a fet. And I'm like, no, but we have no fet. There are no fets. And they
Right.
were like, that's what I think, because they
It's the
probably are
Zesta
fed.
parties.
Hey, yeah. Mike on the mic, don't want to pay for no lawyer. What we're actually trying to do, and I'm glad I got this is the Jamaica perspective, guys, here in Trinidad. This is the St. Kitts perspective. What I wanted to, and why I brought you all in together on the interview, and I'll let Mariah leave in a bit, is the fact that the other islands practice a particular behavior. They had a vaccination campaign, and now things are starting to open back up. Yes, that's happening in Jamaica, right?
Things opening up like what?
Like people being able to go outside, people being able to interact. Is that being able to happen in Jamaica?
No, because
No.
we have our vaccination process.
Mhm.
People doing the first dose, we have to wait 3 months until the second dose and whatnot. We still have curfew, so I have to be in my house at 8 o'clock every day.
Okay.
Groceries have to close at 7. And but the thing is, this has helped, and I noticed that because we have had this curfew since before Easter and all that, and it really helps because you have to get indoors. There's no time to go clubbing and partying and all these different things. So the lockdown has really helped, and I think the situation has gotten better. Our health minister here, and I'm saying our because I'm here most of the times, Dr. Christopher Tufton, he has been like championing the cause to ensure that people get vaccines. And we constantly get doses of vaccines from other countries coming into Jamaica. And as soon as it gets in here, they start putting out flyers for people to come and get vaccinated. So I think the vaccine rollout has been really good.
Yeah.
So, all right, so there's two different perspectives. Jamaica is kind of similar to what's happening in terms of the measures in Trinidad, but you're seeing the results. Let's say this is
Definitely.
it's from Easter to now, so now you're actually seeing the results. The numbers are coming down, so things are starting to get to a position where we see, all right, we're seeing not as much infections, not as much spread. St. Kitts
I
is
think
very different. St. Kitts
Yeah.
had a lot of vaccination. There are no cases in St. Kitts too as well, right?
Yeah, there's no cases in tickets. So what I could tell you for the region in particular, the smaller islands are handling it way better than the larger islands. It's because of the donations they've gotten from the various countries, and
Mm-hmm.
also it's easier for them to manage the population in getting the vaccination drive. Now, I'm not saying people putting jabs in their shoulders often. St. Kitts is only about 40% vaccinated, but right next door, Sabah and Anguilla is almost 100%.
Okay.
Barbados, we did a check to Barbados last week, and they've almost to their herd immunity 75%.
yeah.
Grenada is having difficulty getting people to come out. My manager in Dominica, the Dominicans, they're not going for the vaccines because they have no cases, and they're saying, what's the point? So we have to look at it, and what I've been telling people here constantly is the only time people put jabs in their shoulders right now is when there's an outbreak, because that happened in Anguilla right next door. No one was going for to be vaccinated. Then they had an outbreak. When they had the outbreak, then you saw massive lines of people going in to get the jab. So the perspective, yes, governments are handling it, but there's a social responsibility that needs to happen on the ground. And sometimes people need that kick in order to happen. Like right now, Trinidad, according to what was happening in the press conference on Saturday, Trinidad wasn't ranked as a high country to be able to get vaccines. However, now they're ramping up their drive to get vaccines on the island. So it's a very touchy situation when you look at it that way from a governmental perspective.
Right. So I know the conversation got a little bit heavy. I don't want to keep Mariah much longer. I'm very grateful to you, Mariah. Thank you for coming here on Mike on the Mic. Thank you for being here. I want to let you leave because you're a very busy, career-oriented woman, and it took a lot of time here on Mike on the Mic. But I want to say thanks for giving that perspective. Thanks for help motivating my viewers. Thanks for showing that career women can make it and even perform at that level. I want to say, praise God to you, to your family too as well, who's back here in Trinidad.
Thanks.
Um, and you guys here too as well. Mariah has been saying it that Jamaica took certain policy decisions and it has been paying off now. So we in Trinidad need to be able to understand the decisions was made. Let's follow the guidelines and let's try and see how responsible we can be. Thank you, Mariah. Thank you for being here, Mike on the mic. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Hi,
Bye.
Mariah.
All right, that was Mariah, and I'm staying here with Rob just for a few what
Minutes?
is you doing? What are you doing? Rob is my big brother here. So you guys who looking into Mike on the mic, what is you doing?
We mean what I'm doing here.
You you're out.
Yeah, well, I was playing a poker game in the background. That's why I see people back and forth. There's a poker game happening in the back there, and I said I'll give it the time, because everybody needs to know what's happening. I don't understand what's happening in Trinidad, to be honest, because I still get get calls and conversations of people still want to carry about themselves like nothing happened during the hours of 6 to 9.
Mhm.
You know, COVID doesn't have a time frame. I mean, the St. Vincent Prime Minister said it best. You know, COVID doesn't have a curfew. And just because we implement or governments implement a curfew doesn't mean that COVID going to stop. And it's only going to be out between the hours of 9 to 5. So people have to take responsibility of what's going on. But the other part of it I wanted to show you, which is why I'm doing this call in the afternoon, is if you can see what's happening behind me with people moving up and down. These smaller islands are doing it regimental quarantine, regimental vaccination drive, and people have access to move and do what they want. You know, I'm coming to you from a friend of mine's house, and they're having a poker game. You know, people socializing and doing what they normally do. After here, you know, all the bars and everything is open, so you can go to the bar, have a drink. You don't need to really wear your mask unless you're entering a retail establishment. The sanitization policies are in place. So, I mean, it's very hard to see when you come to these islands how they managed it, and then you have a bigger island that everybody looks up to in the Caribbean, and we can't get our thing ducks in a row.
Hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. So
That
being an outsider and we back in Trinidad, you outside. How you feel about what's happening in Trinidad with your family members in Trinidad and you outside?
it's a difficult place to be. I mean, last year around the same time, I was outside of Trinidad again. I got back in, took some time, and then went back, left again for work, and we're back in the same position. Like you don't know what to do, and hands being tied. You can't take any action. You can't do anything from here. You could only offer support. Um, Emotionally and sometimes if you can financially, but that's it. And that's what most of the Trinidadians here on the island face with. They can't do much because you can't even get a flight to get back into Trinidad, which is what the difficulty is. If something happens to a family member, you cannot go back home to help them out, and vice versa. People who want to come out to be in a more secured environment can't.
I seen Candace on the live, that's our sister. Hey, good night. Share the live. Oh God, oh God, oh. Happy Mother's Day. And I'll say, Rob, I'll say thanks for coming here on Mike on the mic.
No
I hope
worries,
that we
man.
can bring that regional perspective. This was a real opportunity to show the Caribbean islands, to show Jamaica, to show St. Kitts. Sorry for my ignorance. I really thought that Jamaica was similar to St. Kitts. I didn't realize they were under the same lockdown. But Mariah was
Yeah,
good enough to inform
explain it.
me, and I guess that's my lapse in the research, as you were saying before. But that's okay.
Yeah,
We live and we learn. I mean, this is
yeah.
not a very, very formal situation too, as well here on Mike on the mic. Um, has there been any advantages to this pandemic for you personally?
For me personally, um, not really. Only enough to save money and travel. But other than that, there's no advantages per se. For a lot of people, there are. I know for some businesses, there are a lot of advantages. But in my business, because I run a chain of pawn shops across the islands, um, there is some advantage because people need money and they would always need money at this time. But unfortunately, the situation has reached a position where because there's no jobs, there's no tourism, most people have exhausted all their means and now they're relying on governments. So it's a very difficult place to be for a lot of people within the islands. But when you have I mean, like a resource like what we do, they tend to be able to bail themselves out.
And before I end the live, what was it like being closer to St. Vincent?
Oh, for the volcano?
Pandemic happening and volcano happening. What was that like?
Oh my gosh, my staff in St. Vincent was in a mess. Actually, we were trying to get some charters across there. We arranged for some boats to go to help people on that side with animals and stuff in St. Vincent. But it was ridiculous because half the team, they wanted people to gather to go onto the ships to get evacuated. But then the cruise ships were saying that they weren't letting anyone on the cruise ships unless they were vaccinated. So there was a lot of misinformation that was going on, and it was very difficult for the guys in St. Vincent. Right now, I think St. Vincent is almost back up, at least for where my shop and my locations are there. The guys are doing very, very well. The flooding happened like the week after. St. Vincent had a massive flooding problem. So we had to deal with that as well. But so far, they've bounced back really, really good. I mean, except for the southern side where the volcano is. Um, but they say they're finding gold and diamonds in the ashes, so that might be good for my business.
I want to say, Rob, thanks for coming here on Mike on the mic. I guess you're listening because you're out.
Yeah. Call me back in 3 weeks. We'll do another show from Barbados, and then 2 weeks after that from Grenada. So I'm out on and about again.
I now see why they call you the quarantine boss. All right.
Hey, quarantine boss. Yeah,
All
man.
right.
Take it easy.
Take care, Rob. Take care.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. That was Mike on the mic for tonight. If you guys been enjoying the content, feel free to share the lives. Feel free. I've seen somebody comment about the vaccine here too as well. Feel free to share the live. Feel free to share the comments. Engage with the interviews. Engage. If you guys have any interesting stories that you want to see that I bring here, of course, live or even pre-recorded, you could hit me up on Facebook. Message me, and we could try to see if we can get that content out here to you guys here on Mike on the mic. I know things has been very depressing this week. I'll be quite honest. When I heard that it was over 20 deaths today, I was really shocked. I don't know if you guys were too. Comment if you guys were shocked too as well. But yeah, that's it for tonight's show. Please feel free, as I said, share the stuff, engage with the community here. I'm trying to build here back on Mike on the mic. I'm sorry, I was off for so long. But you know what it's like to do your passion and actually have a 9 to 5. It's very difficult. But I'm making the time because I'm working from home. So it's easier because you're home. You're at home. So thank you, Mariah, once again for coming on the show. I reached out to her earlier today, and she was willing and able, and she totally agreed. She gave a lot of different and unique perspectives. She enlightened me too as well. Forgive my ignorance for the environment that was happening in Jamaica. It's something that I actually learn here tonight, so that was good and that was cool. You guys take care from me here on Mike on the mic. Feel free to comment, feel free to engage with the content, feel free to message me if you like the show. Tell me what you want to see next. And I see Nigel Telesford was on the live earlier today. If you have any entertainers or anybody that you want to see here on Mike on the mic, we could bring them on. All right, so take care from me. Continue to do the 3 W's: wear your mask, use your hand sanitizer, and socially distance if you have to go out. But we really are now lockdown, try not to go out as much, as the 2 perspectives from the different islands following the protocols actually did help. And we want to continue to be able to next year have a carnival, next year have back events, next year have sporting events, But for now, stay inside, do your part. Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for me here on Mike on the mic. Take care for now.